I am only Joel can judge me, and I play Helldivers too. And this is my solo incinerator convoy solo. Just explain my build real quick. So stratagems first: orc, orbital rail cannon, orbital laser, quasar cannon, and jump pack with the experimental infusion booster. And my weapons were Scorcher, Ultimatum, Thermites, and I ran the Scout armor. So, quick note, this build is for medium to close engagement of the convoy, as opposed to cheesing it with chairs or turrets from far away. There's no right way to beat the convoy, but so far everyone's been doing it, you know, in a way I would classify as cheese, which is fine, I cheese. Everyone cheeses. But there's obviously another way that's closer to just straight up fighting the convoy. And that's what I've done. So this is the second in a 3-part series. First one showing on a dense, covery jungle map, which is probably the easiest way to fight convoy with this build. Second is this game, which is a less dense but still map with a decent amount of cover. And then the third and final game is literally no cover at all, just out in the open, wide open space map. And it's just going to show that you don't need to approach the convoy the way that people are approaching it. You can literally just fight it, play a regular game.
Objective critical stratagem no longer available.
Anyway, we approach the convoy, you know, because the screen gets all shaky and wiggly.
Engaging orbital laser.
Drop that laser, proceed to get in position for orc blast. Again, we're always mindful, okay? We're trying to hide and dip between these rocks and use the scout armor to its maximum advantage. Here's me thinking that cover is indestructible and getting smacked. That's the convoy offering their free laser hair removal. Lasers so close I can taste them. Oof, right there. Another laser just barely missed me. One thing to note, this map does have a little bit of fog and haze. The one thing I like about the bot front is that at the end of the day, bots always, it's almost like a chess game. It's about outplaying bots. And it's more of a thinking man's game, you know, as opposed to bugs, which I also solo. But bugs is more about reaction, you know? And I still enjoy playing bots much more.
Deploying equipment package.
Feels good.
Today there's still no strategy. You know, there's only like different levels of like, I'm gonna stare at the mini-map the entire time and try not to engage. It's just not a fun way to play versus like the Predator strain on bugs.
Dropping a pin.
I haven't quite seen Incinerator Convoy Souls from any of the other bigger YouTube content creators, or even
Tagging map.
mid-level YouTube content creators. Outside of like clanmates like Nova, which is Antique Nova, if people are familiar. Who's an excellent player, by the way. Or even Spidey Sense, another clanmate. I feel like we're the only ones doing this.
Last reload. Dropping a pin.
The second round of the
Orbital strike.
orbital rail cannon strike. Or as I like to call it, orc. And we throw it because it's available and we're in range. And we've never really left the convoy, we've been stalking it this entire time. At this point we're maybe like a few seconds from orbital laser being back. And go bold, you know. Try to get in position. We see the detector tower. And we're gonna go for that again.
Objective critical stratagem
whiffing on it.
available. Objective critical stratagem no longer available.
Last reload.
Automaton facility destroyed.
So orbital laser's back. We're looking to get back into position. Try to find some trees or a rock to hide. And then lob. And leave. You know, you drop it and you reposition. One thing to note about Factory Striders is they have a few critical hit points. One being the head, and particularly there's like a red eye on the left side if you're facing it. If you can one-shot that with a more powerful weapon or a weapon with high penetration, you do big damage to it. Conversely, if you use an AT weapon to the head and the face, it only takes a few shots. For example, 2 recoilless rifle shots to the face will kill a Factory Strider. Another weak point, believe it or not, as you saw earlier, is the back of the knee. So a few choice shots from an AT weapon, an anti-tank weapon, will also give the Factory Strider critical damage. Yet another critical point would be the foot, believe it or not. The foot can be damaged and actually one-shot using something like an ultimatum. So if you just lob an ultimatum at the foot of a Factory Strider, it's a one-shot. Thermites are also incredibly effective versus Factory Striders. There are 2 key points. The head being one of them. If you lob 2 to 3 well-placed shots to the head of the Factory Strider with a thermite, it will kill them. But you can also just lob thermites at the body, and several thermites that attach, I forget what it is, like 4, will also kill Factory Strider. If you want less thermites and more critical damage, the underbelly of a Factory Strider is also vulnerable. There's 2 doors that open up and produce devs. Each door has its own health pool, so 2 thermites to the same door will kill a Factory Strider. Or if you're like me and you want to be fast, just lob 3 at the opening door section on either side, and they'll also die. That's me lobbing thermites to make sure that guy dies. me breathing through my mic in my previous game because I forgot my mic was on and apparently it was too close to my mouth.
Objective critical stratagem available. Hellbomb request approved. Deploying now.
So I take this time between cooldowns of my orc and my orbital laser to take out some objectives. And that's really the strategy here. So immediately approach... Oh, I just killed another factory strutter. But immediately approach the convoy. You know, drop your load. Rotate off to an objective. I had to think because I just said something that was out, like wildly inappropriate. Anyway, so drop your stratagems. Move on to another objective. Clear that. Be mindful of the time. Look back at your stratagems. See if the cooldown is a cooldown. And then, if not, proceed to another objective. If you're getting close, head back to the convoy and repeat what you did. And within 2 to 3 passes, convoy should be dead. If you're peppering the convoy as you're dropping orbitals, it's 2 easy passes. Like I said, this is a 3-part series. This is the second game in it. And here we're still working on the convoy as it moves. Actually, we're going in for an assassination because we're going for stall points right now. You know, we're showing that not only can you fight convoys close, but you can get up in there and assassinate them. I'm going little shaft bots. Gonna give my position away. And I've triggered his reinforcement thing, but not his awareness. So I was able to lob 3 thermites at the belly. In the third game, because I'm sure some people would be like, oh, I'd rather just kill the convoy in like quickly in like 5 minutes, blah blah blah. You know, this takes too long. In the third game, that's what happens. I kill the convoy in just a little over 5 minutes. In the beginning of the game. So it's in the opening 5 minutes that convoy is dead using this strategy. And that's just because I've never employed it. I just came up with this not too long ago. I was trying to find a way to address the convoy in not a better way, but in a more natural way. Like just playing the game and having fun. So just in case you didn't watch the first game in the series, I bet a few people are wondering, well, now you don't have any orbitals, now that you've spent your orbital laser. But I explained in the first game that we practice to solo these games without the use of orbitals. That's one of the things that we do, so that's not really an issue. If you're not fully reliant on orbitals and you can actually play the game with the tools that you have, it's really not an issue. And it's not that the game is easy, the game is incredibly hard. It's challenging in a fun way, especially on bot side, as opposed to bug side. It's just that at one point you understand, you know, how to approach the game. Different ways to take objectives out. Using the Quasar Cannon and the jump pack is probably the most effective way of doing this.
Objective critical stratagem available.
Again, I'll never tell anyone how to play the game. You play the game the way that you like it, okay? It's not that type of game. But I'm offering, you know, a way to scrap with the convoy. as opposed to sniping it from long range or taking pot shots from long range. So important to note here, again, people would say, oh, why are you running up against the incinerators? And that's the beauty of Scorcher. Scorcher does splash damage that ignores armor. So if you just bring a Scorcher, and I know a lot of people are struggling against incinerators, but if you just bring a Scorcher, it makes your life a lot easier on bot side. By being able to just generally fire center mass at an incinerator dev, even the shotgun one, you see it also can throw their aim off. So one way to approach them is always from outside 40 meters, you know, and the other way is to still approach them from outside 40 meters, but also understand you can get close with the Scorcher. Scorcher will also throw the incinerator's aim off. And the other thing that people don't understand is that with the Scorcher, you just literally have to aim center mass.
Out of ammo!
As opposed to something like a DCS where you have to aim at the face, the hand, or the foot.
Engaging orbital laser.
So while we're talking about devs, shield devastators, or heavy devs in particular, we'll go over some of their weak points. A shield dev can be shot in the face with any weapon, including light pen weapons. And that's the main thing that people aim for, but a shield dev can also be shot in its hand. You know, I wouldn't suggest that for an incinerator, but a regular shield dev, you can shoot their hand off, the gun hand, and they'll stop firing. You effectively disarm them. You can also shoot them in their feet and their legs. So a few well-placed shots to their feet and their legs will knock them over and they'll die. You can also hit as an area from the front, like their backpack, but that I'm not so much a fan of. Again, as you can see, I'm up in here. I'm not clearing things and then operating consoles. I'm not making sure that all the enemies are dead. I'm literally just killing what's in my way.
Dropping a pin.
This is probably the fastest way to do this, you know. It ensures that you never get bogged down in a firefight. Again, I want to reiterate, these games are unscouted, which means that they are not games that are saved using an exploit to replay the map over and over again, which is just a huge gaping hole that I don't understand why Arrowhead doesn't patch. It's being exploited to high hell. But that's not what this is. This is just me playing a game with its natural procedural generation and adapting to what the map has generated.
Orbital strike incoming.
In a game about RNG, you know, when you scout or you save maps using an exploit, you take out the main thing that makes it difficult. And that's just hugely disappointing, you know. Hopefully one day Arrowhead addresses it because it's being abused. One thing about this channel is that these games are unscouted, every single one of them. And it's close to 100 now. And unfortunately, I learned about this from partaking in the speedrunning community. That's basically what they do, is they save maps and they replay them over and over again. And then they put them on display and they show how fast they've cleared them. And it's like you've cleared a map that you've played
Mission at
probably
20
for 10
minutes
hours
remaining.
straight, to get a ridiculous time that nobody can achieve. And that's fine. I mean, that's how speedrunning goes. But that exploit in particular they're using can be abused in all sorts of things, including these solos posted to YouTube. So that's one thing to be aware of. Sometimes when you watch a player, and you're watching them and they're just clearing everything and they're doing all this stuff and they look almost psychic, you know, and they're flowing really well and they're not dying, it's because they've played that map repeatedly until they've mastered it. And that's not what this is. So this is me playing this map for the first time and beating it. So all the slick things you see, all the jumpaways, all the
Spot outpost destroyed.
fancy moves and all the quick firing
Tagging map.
and the surgical play, that's all on the fly, that's all real. None of it scripted.
Sending down equipment package.
I mean, to recap, that's the gist of this strategy, okay? Is approach convoy, unload stratagems, between cooldowns, go and do objectives. Once cooldown is up, revisit, unload your stratagems again. On the second pass, if you've been peppering, you're probably going to kill them. If not, rinse and repeat. Rotate while stratagems are on cooldown. Hit objectives. Once they're close, head back to the convoy. And on the third pass, you will beat them, regardless of if you're peppering them with QC shots and thermites or not. Again, some people will point out that at the end of this, you might not have one of the stratagems, which is the orbital laser. But I don't know if you guys have ever watched, like, Thor. I forget which one it was, where he's talking to his father and his father's passed away.
Outpost scrapped.
And he's trying to tell him that he lost his hammer. And Odin says to Thor, "Are you the god of hammers, or, you know, are you the god of thunder?" And he's trying to make Thor understand that it's not your tools that make you powerful, it's you. So you should be able to play this game without your stratagems. You should be able to play it well. Your stratagems aid you, they don't define you. Your ability to clear this map isn't in the stratagems, okay? It's in you, as long as you bring a good loadout. I think one of the lines Odin gave to Thor was that if, you know, you were powerful just because of your hammer, you didn't deserve it. So, playing without stratagems, which is one of the things that we do in Clan Nomad, will show you how not to be reliant on your orbitals. Now, we have several games with no orbitals, no resupply pods,
Tagging map.
you know, just us, our primary support, and our secondary weapons.
Liberty dispensed. objective nearby.
Another thing to notice, the convoy is purposely fought on 3 different maps in this 3-part series. Just to show you that it's not a single map, you know, and a single biome. It's all different maps and all different biomes. The strategy works.
Dropping a pin.
Hopefully it catches on, because this is literally the best way to do this, in my opinion. 3, 5. That's me from my previous game. Did not realize my mic was on, and I guess I'm talking to somebody in the background.
Found something!
Just to recap, jump back is one of the best tools in the game. It always has been. For some reason, early in the game's life, it was disputed how effective and important jump back was. You know, just to go over it again, basically every time you jump, it's like erasing your footprints. Okay, the enemies can no longer track you. So your sound profile and the last location that the enemy knows you're at disappears every time you jump. Whereas if you don't jump, you leave like a trail. So jumping is like literally cleaning the tracks.
Outpost destroyed.
It's so effective that even when you've been acquired or spotted by an enemy, again, it's like wiping away the tracks. They can't follow you through the jump. They have to reacquire you, they re-see you.
Main objective near your position.
They know your general location, so they'll search in the area you were last, but they can't actively follow you based on like a trail that you leave when you run.
Orbital strike incoming.
If I were to make a visual representation, it's like they see a ghost image
You have accomplished
where you've just been.
extracted your
Dropping a
discretion.
pin.
When you jump, that disappears. They don't see that image. That's me thinking that it's over and then realizing, nope, there's one more base. I mean, that's the essence of this strategy is ambush, cover, conceal, sneak, reposition, ambush again.
Sending down equipment package.
I learned to play on Malevolent Creek at that difficulty, and that's never left, you know, my playstyle, regardless of how easy or the changes in bots have been made. You know, I always operate like they're Malevolent Creek bots. And you may be able to run up to them now and like face tank them, but if you tried that on the creek, you'd die. So it's always going to be ambush plays for me. We never fight an enemy unless we have an advantage. If it's a one-to-one situation, we're still not trying to take that. We're trying to only take battles that we can, you know, that we know we can win. If we take a calculated risk where it's not a one-to-one situation, which I do often, it's because the reward is high enough to try something like that. You know, and I feel like I can mitigate the danger. But nothing is taking fights one-to-one for no reason. You know, I'll always see that as stupid and it's ineffective and unrealistic. That playstyle is born out of playing like a traditional shooting game or a power fantasy.
Mission at 10 minutes remaining.
And
Dropping a pin.
To me, that's not what this game presented at first. At first, this was a highly tactical, asymmetrical combat sim masked in sci-fi. What's weird is that all the tactical plays, using cover, conceal, using angles, even clearing areas, ambush plays, a lot of subterfuge, all like actual tactics translated extremely well into this game, regardless of what people tell you. But the stealth play, the ambush play has always been there, and it's actually always been at the forefront. You've never been playing a game where it's a one-to-one situation, where it's just your team of equal power versus their army of equal power. You've literally been fighting a game where you are underpowered and the enemies are way overpowered from the beginning. That's how I've approached it, and anybody that approaches it differently, in my opinion, you're approaching it like that on hubris.
Extraction is available.
These are obviously just my opinions, but even when you have even when you're one-to-one on an enemy, right? You would still not approach them on that footing, because one-to-one, those odds are 50-50. You always want the odds in your favor, so you always reposition. You always look for angles. You always look for openings. You always look for mistakes, and you exploit them. And when I say exploit, I don't mean cheese the map and run a seed for 10 hours straight. I mean, when somebody makes a mistake, you make them pay.
Deploying equipment package.
You know, you take all the mistakes they make, and you turn them to your advantage. In my opinion, that's the major success of Helldivers, is translating that feeling and
Extraction request confirmed.
that mechanic into a game. Part of the difficulty of RNG, or part of the danger in RNG, is that at any time, what should have gone well can, you know, result in like a one-shot or a reinforcement, and everything goes sideways. And that's why approaching, you know, every skirmish
ETA T-minus 2
should
minutes, 30
be
seconds.
cautious, and not like, oh, I could take this, I have enough firepower, I'm gonna go one-to-one with them. Because that one-to-one situation can turn sideways with all the RNG. The enemy, it's almost like the enemy has a dice roll of damage and accuracy. And every time they engage you, literal dice is thrown.
ETA T-minus
And
2
normally
minutes.
they're gonna roll normal damage, but sometimes they roll critical damage, and happens a lot, and that's where a lot of the frustration in the player base comes from. Knowing that at any point some random ass chatbot can roll critical hit and one-shot you should be enough to make you understand not to approach these situations in a one-to-one environment. You have to always look for an advantage and then attack. Understanding that can solve maybe 75% of your problems in this game. Understanding it's an asymmetrical combat situation. Understanding that
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
what else? You know, to use the terrain and the biome to your advantage, and that's there, and it's a huge, often overlooked thing that obviously they put a lot of care into their environment. Like so, okay, I'm hiding from the bots, right? They're closing in on my position,
ETA T-minus 30 seconds.
and it looks like I'm gonna get caught, right? I'm backed into a corner, yeah? I'm gonna be seen, and
T-minus 20 seconds.
in these 20 seconds I'm gonna have a fight, right? about to round the corner.
ETA T-minus 10 seconds. Clear landing zone.
I wait till the last possible minute. And no, I jump away. They can't see me.
This is Pelican 1. I have visual on the extraction zone. This is Pelican 1. Prepare
Anyone
for
that ever
touchdown.
told you that stealth is underdeveloped in this game doesn't know how to play the game. Stealth is one of the core mechanics. It's probably one of the most thought out mechanics.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Today you've carved another foothold in a long climb to liberty.
And that concludes my Super Helldive Incineration Bot Convoy Sabotage Airbase mission, which is a Deathless full clear. So I would appreciate if you like this video, like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. I only mentioned 2 of my teammates from Clan Nomad, but you know, there's a whole roster of extremely good pro players there, and if you'd like to join our Discord, I'll drop a link in the description. There's also a link in my bio, so feel free to join. Everybody is welcome. Thank you and goodbye.